Okay, so welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for being back a part of the show. How are you doing and feeling today?
Thank you for having me again. I'm doing pretty decent. I can't complain. I'm six above and not below.
Right. That's
Yeah,
true.
it's all good. Just another day.
What happened with what are some activities you guys did for your mothers today?
So we cooked, spent time with them, and
hmm
that's how we did ours. Just a regular.
hmm Any messages, like quick messages you have for mothers out there?
Just want to say Happy Mother's Day. To all the mothers out there. Keep pushing.
Amen. I say that. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into some questions for you today. Uh, I heard about you working on some new projects. What has been your most rewarding one, like the one you felt like it's like a big yes?
All right, so of course, I'm still doing the fine tuning on the album. Then I got an EP that I'm slightly working on from just the leftover material.
hmm
Then I'm cooking up a mixtape, right now as we speak. It should be out no later than the weekend, no later than the weekend. Then
Oh, okay.
on that note, it just might be two.
Oh, a EP?
Well, nah.
Oh,
So
singles.
I'm gonna do a third installment for my mixtape collection until I die. So this would be the third, installment into that.
Mm,
And then
gotcha.
I'm gonna have a different one called Speaking Cursive.
That's deep. Because have you noticed nowadays in school they don't even teach kids cursive at all? Like that's not even part of their curriculum. Like when I was going to school, cursive is was important.
Should I have one class where that's all you had to write and you couldn't turn in a paper
Right.
without cursive?
You had cursive class, right? But
Yeah. So
people don't understand how much like spirituality goes with cursive. When you write something in cursive, it gives it more of a meaning, versus writing something or typing something. But yeah, I just want to throw that in there. So what
true.
has been did you have something to say on that?
I was just saying that's true.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, what has been one of the weirdest or most unexpected source of inspirations you ever used in the song?
Oh man, for some of mine they come from just real life situations. Like it could be I'm having an off day at work and I be waiting all day just to get, to the house so that,
Mhm.
I can record about it. Or if I'm dealing with somebody and I'll just put that into a song or just with how the day comes. I
Right.
usually put my everyday life into the music
Oh,
so
okay.
that it could have been I'm traveling from, this city to that city. I done
hmm
passed through, you know, eight different cities, that day. And
hmm
I'll just draw inspiration just on the traveling time, you
Right.
know,
Okay.
and
Gotcha.
do it like that. So the weirdest one,
hmm
man, I think this was back in 2000 and what year was it? I think maybe 23, 20, either 23. Yeah. And that day, I quit and got fired at the same exact time.
How did that happen?
The woman wanted to play with my morality and think that I'm a little boy or a slave, and that she gonna tell me what to do and all this type of shit. And I'm like, I'm not one of them. You don't talk to me like that. You know what?
Right.
Matter of fact, you say that I'm fired, but I tell you that I quit to your face. And so after
Right.
that, came back to the house, made a song about it.
hmm
On another occasion, I made a song out of a conversation that me and my brother was having on the way to work.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you
Yeah.
kind of take inspiration from like your everyday interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I find
okay.
something that, that I could take from it and, pass it along to where maybe, with this situation that I'm going through, I know if I could keep pushing, I know the next person could keep pushing, they may come across the song, find inspiration and, get that little extra, little bit of motivation, to
Hmm.
continue their day.
Right, right. Yeah. So I know this may be a little off, but what is like a guilty pleasure for you? Being more into your music or being the artist?
Oh man. Oh, that's a good one. So mine would be for the, I love the creating process of it because mine's a little bit different. For most of mine, I
Hmm.
write the hook, but I freestyle my verses. And so that they're actually purely coming from my soul. And
Hmm.
then, I like, the playback on it,
Right.
so for after that, before anybody could ever listen to it, I just take pride in, just the artistry of it to where
Mhm.
some of my songs, I still been holding on to them from, I think, 2021, and I've never released them to the public.
Gotcha. So you don't
You,
take more pride in being an artist, like you're not trying to build your brand on who you are. You're trying to build your brand based on your music.
yeah, because it's, stories I tell anybody. I'm just a regular person just like you.
That's
I'm
true.
just here along, for the journey. Just,
Right.
writing down my story. I'm a little bit humbled about it, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
I take that approach to where no matter what it is in life, I don't step outside of like who I am to be this person or how, some people step into like the light of an artist and that's them. And you get that person, at the behind the scenes, that's
Hmm.
not them. They put on this fake image and all this that's not really there. And
Right.
so I actually don't like, trying to step into that like
Oh,
to where
right.
it's like,
Okay.
I'm still, me.
Right. So I heard, I think it was like one of our previous meetups, you stated that you work solo. So if you were to collaborate with someone else, how would that affect your workflow? Is there a specific reason why you don't have
Mm-hmm.
features?
Oh man. I just like, being on tune to the beat, just myself to where I seen that I can, but
Hmm.
it's like the different styles. It'll be like I'd have my own personal message and the other person would have their own personal message, but their
Hmm.
message may not be relating to my message.
Right.
So
Hmm. So it'd be a
if
little bit off-putting.
yeah, it wouldn't, go smoothly.
Right.
So
Okay.
I look at things like that to where it's like I done built it to where it's like, yeah, I'm solo. I really don't need features. If I did, it'll only be from like my favorite artist. And it's like, to knock those off the bucket list to at
Right.
least
Right.
catalog. I
Yeah.
have
Hmm.
feature from all my favorite artists.
Right. So if that was the case, have you dreamed of, I wouldn't say dreamed, or have you thought into having any future calibrations with anyone in particular?
Oh yeah, two that I had. Well, actually three that I would love to get off the bucket list.
Hmm.
I would love a feature from Kevin Gates. I'd
Oh
love
my
a feature
God, yes.
from I'd love a feature from Young Thug, and I'd love a
Mhm.
feature from Wayne.
Of course, you know.
Those would have to be, top tier wins. That is like, yeah, I wouldn't mind paying that bread, just to have those.
So we know that Lil Wayne is well seasoned in the industry and not too far behind Kevin Gates. And then you say Young Thug, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Um, is there specific things that you took from their life and learned from them as an artist, or or into your music that you took from their artistry?
Oh man, so starting off with the top, I've always admired Wayne, not only just for his lyricism, but
Hmm.
also his work ethic as well.
Right.
To where I had to slow down just over time so that I could perfect it to where I could record a whole mixtape or an album within the course of maybe about 6 to 7 hours.
Right.
I used
Okay.
to be able to, do that, and I still can. I just, take my time with it.
Right.
With
Right.
what I would get from an artist like Young Thug is that like just genuinely be who you are, no matter like if they're hating on you or they don't understand you, still do you. And I like
Mhm.
his melodic tunes and just it's a course of random songs that is just like it may have not made sense to nobody else, but I completely understood.
Right. Yeah. So there's a new trend that I've seen going on with quite a few artists, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that trend, but I think your artist Young Thug does it, Young Boy does it, and this new podcaster slash rapper does it. His name is 607 Unk. What do you think of the black nail polish on the hands as a music artist?
Oh
What
man,
does that
for me,
say in the industry?
I'm not particular on it. I mean, I don't have nothing negative to say on it.
Hmm.
Like, if that's what you want to do you to the fullest,
Right.
even if they're, saying whatever kind of slurs your way or, talking about you in this kind of light, just do you, you
Right.
know? Don't
Yeah.
let nobody else stop you from whatever it is of what you would want to do.
Hmm. That's true. So the word slurs that they call these type of people, do you agree with that category of things, or do you think that that's just a form of them expressing themselves?
It's just, expression. I
Okay,
don't think
gotcha.
that, oh, just because you paint your nails and you're a dude that you're gay, or anything like that. Cause I could say, dudes that are around other dudes all day, that's
Yeah.
gay.
Hmm.
Like who wants to be at a sausage party?
Right. Yeah. I
You know,
understand. So I was going to ask you, what things do should listeners take away from your music? Like, what are you trying to convey to your audience when you create a track?
so for mine, it's always been like listen beyond the beat. Don't just listen to the song just because it has a nice beat to it.
Hmm.
It's a message in there. Break the message down, take it in, for what it's worth.
Hmm.
Because
Gotcha.
not every song has a message about, that person's day to where it'll help you throughout chores.
Right.
The song may be made in this type of frequency that
Hmm.
it has to resonate with that within a person. But
Right.
for mine is to, for one, I'm always, humble. So that's also, something that I push through it. That,
Hmm.
even with having many accolades, I'm still gonna be me at the end of the day. I just
Hmm. Hmm.
walk how I do. And
Right.
so for just listening to the message, because
Hmm.
it's different than everybody else's. And so,
Right.
if you could take out the time to listen to these words from somebody else, I shouldn't be, no different from that. And I know
Right.
where everybody has their time, and I'm building on mine.
Right. So, you as a music artist, do you have a certain character that you put on as an artist versus being a regular, a everyday person? Or would people see the same from you in your music and if they were around you every day?
People would actually see the same
Oh,
to where
okay.
it's like, I wouldn't say that I have an alter ego for whenever I do the music,
Hmm.
because from me right now, and then whenever I get back behind the microphone, I'm the same
Hmm.
person. If I'm shooting a
Gotcha.
video, I'm still the same person. You could have seen my music
So you
video
don't
last.
switch up, huh?
Mm-mm. That's
Okay.
like if you see me in a grocery store, I'm gonna still have that same energy as what I had on the song, but just don't get too close though.
Right. Have you
You know,
ever experienced friends turning into foes?
oh man, I didn't experience that so often to where it's like it'll have you looking at friendship a little bit differently to
Hmm.
where, you could have invested so much into the friendship or even a relationship. You done invest
Hmm.
so much into it to
Right.
where it's like one day that you wake up and things are off. And it's like you call it out on it and then you get whatever response you get. to
Mm-hmm.
where at one time and point, I had some homies, we cool.
Mm-hmm.
They woke up one day and decided to turn their back on me. I'm like,
Wow.
hey,
Was these
that's
childhood friends or I'm sorry. Go ahead.
they they came from, few from my childhood, few from,
Okay.
an adult. And it's like, damn, I thought we was cool. I thought we was better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But come to find out, we really wasn't.
So did you ever have like a childhood best friend? And if so, what did that look like?
Oh man, I really didn't have time per se for a childhood friend
Okay.
to where then I'll say for what 10 years, my mother
Mm-hmm.
would always move from East Texas to Dallas, Texas, and all throughout the Metroplex. Every 6 months we were moving damn near.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
so I never really had a chance to
Mm-hmm.
have a
Like
friend like
settle
that.
and have a friend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because outside of that, I've always been quiet. So it's like a
Okay.
person could want to be friends with me, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just minding my business.
I'm just here.
I'm just here.
Yeah. So I know a lot of times guys put on like this hardcore persona. Is it hard for people to like truly know who you are outside of a public figure and outside of having like this hardcore persona as a guy in general?
Let me see. For that, some people do, perpetrate just to get sales, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
off camera, they're a complete different person.
Mm-hmm.
They'll put it out like they're tough,
Mm-hmm.
masculine, and everything, but that's not who they really are.
Right.
Some dudes be playing tough and they really be scared.
Mm.
Oh,
So
and
do
it's
you think the
nothing.
world shapes that?
The world actually do, change that to where for different people in their different situations to where when you look at a product of the environment,
Mm-hmm.
you get that. Now, say like if you put the dude who grew up in the trenches, now take that onto the flip side of if he grew up in the suburbs,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be two different people,
Right. That's
you
true.
know,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you are who you are slightly because of the environment that you had to grow up in.
Right. So you're saying that basically if you grew up in the less, you know, more or less community than a community that's more upstanding, that you do have to put on a certain persona to what they would say survive in that environment.
Exactly, because say like if you're growing up in a hood, you got to be tough
Mm-hmm.
every day of your life,
Yeah.
regardless of you want to be out there in it or if you don't want to be out there in it.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes down to that, yeah, you always got to put on that armor.
That's true.
Even if it bothers you, you can't show that you're sweating.
That's true. So with that being said, with you, I think we briefly spoke on like a love life for you the last time. So has a love life that you ever experienced pushed you to create something you otherwise wouldn't have?
Oh man, which mm, with each woman that I would get with, it's something different that comes out in the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell a little bit of what's going on in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I think one year I was with somebody that I was so motivated. I think I dropped maybe about anywhere between 6 to 8 mixtapes that year.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow. That's a lot. So you were so
And
disciplined with that, huh?
hmm to where every day, whenever I wasn't working, when I wasn't talking to her, I'm hitting that pen
You
and pad and
grinding,
I'm
huh?
recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I'm doing that. Or it could have been a bad situation to where it's like I might be in my feelings a little bit. And, I come out with a sad collection of music that
Gotcha.
is inspired by, the disappointment in that
Mm-hmm.
relationship and how it went to
Mm-hmm.
where other people will be able to relate to it and, take from it.
Mm-hmm.
And that, hey, these are the kind of things that you need to look out for when, dealing with these kind of, people right here.
Gotcha. So do you think that there has been times where you had to be hard on yourself and be disciplined in the situation when it comes to your music and kind of like shut out everything and everybody just so you can get a project done?
Oh yeah, I done had to do that many of times to where whenever I be having a writer's block,
Hmm.
you know, sometimes I'd have a person there, or sometimes, I would, it depend on how deep I am in it, to where
Hmm.
I don't like too many distractions, to where
Right.
if it's been like 6 to 9 months and I haven't released nothing,
Hmm.
all right, cool. I need to, step aside, just focus on money and music,
Right.
you know, and still keep my family on my mind.
Hmm.
So, I'll just isolate myself from the world, come up with whatever I have to. It may take sometimes 2 months, for me to come up with the perfect body of work because I'm having to find beats from here, there, in all different kind of places, especially to capture the sound that I specifically want for that project.
Right. So when you do stuff like that, when you go into isolation, and let's say we didn't speak on if you had any kids or not, but let's just say if you did have kids or you do have kids, right? Um, and you have a woman or even like your parents or siblings, how does that affect your relationship with them when you go into isolation mode? Are they concerned? Or what does that look
Um,
like?
they would usually understand whenever it's like I'm just quiet to myself.
Hmm.
They'll know that something's going on that that has my focus. So
Right.
it's like hey, he'll be back soon.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so how do you divide your time up like with your kids if you're doing things like that?
Well, for me, my kids would be animals. I don't have no living.
Oh, you don't have any kids?
Uh-uh.
Oh, okay.
Not that I know of, anyways.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I
So
mean, that's good, right? Or
yeah, that's a good thing. Some people can't really say that.
that's
So
true. That's true.
it hasn't
Well, in
been
your
confirmed.
case, as an artist, you're more marketable as a man with no kids.
Oh yeah. So when it comes down to that, yeah, now if I did, I'd like to,
Hmm.
during the daytime, per se, that's whenever, every
Okay,
a little
gotcha.
bit of my time. But
Right,
at
yeah, because we're looking
nighttime,
at
whenever,
homework, school, and stuff.
yeah, so all right there is, time for everybody else whenever, I'm not, having to be punched in.
Hmm.
So late at night is my time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I would divide it up, during while the sun is up, I space out my time, with this and that. And
Hmm.
then whenever, nightfall hits, that's when it's, my time to, put in all my extra work, to hit
Hmm.
the studio to do all of that.
Hmm. So getting a little bit into your love life, have you ever dealt with like a disloyal girlfriend or woman in your life?
Oh man. As an adult, I've never been with a faithful woman.
Really? What?
Yeah,
What do you
I've
mean? I've never heard of that.
I've never was introduced to a faithful woman to where they done cheated in many different ways, and then looking at those ways, it's like,
Hmm.
nah, like some things are just red flags for a reason.
Hmm.
And so with that, I wouldn't know what, you know,
Hmm.
to exactly say about, a good woman and how that would affect me because I've never had one.
So what would be your build out? Like what would be your definition of a good woman to you?
Oh man, so for one, a woman that is completely faithful, that has good communication,
Hmm.
that's very understanding, non-judgmental, a woman that isn't, getting lost in the sauce just to be on social media, going broke for a fake
Hmm.
ass image, a female that isn't always thinking about money or materialistic type
Hmm.
shit, or
Right.
a female that's getting with a dude just for, financial benefits that
Hmm.
she can't do just on her own. So she's using this guy for his funds, whenever she's talking to 4 or 5 other dudes and getting their funds as well.
Wow, yeah, that's so you're describing what you're describing to me is like a down to earth woman.
Yeah, like
Okay.
for me, I like down to earth women. So whenever it comes into that, that'll compliment me because I'm a
Yeah,
down to earth person to where I don't get lost in, just the materialistic shit to where if you lose it, you could buy it again. There's no reason to throw a fit over, something that could be destroyed.
right. Yeah, that's true. And so did you have a preference in women? Racial
Um,
preference, body preference? What's your
Mine would be a body preference mainly to where it's
okay?
like she has to be dark skinned for one. I
Okay.
really, I really like yellow females or red bones like that. My weakness is, the chocolate.
Oh,
I
that's
need
the
that.
first I've
I need
heard in
that.
a long time.
Yeah. And then so outside of that, stick to a plus size woman. I really can't do, nothing with somebody that look like a shoestring. I can't
So
do
you're
nothing
the
with that.
opposite of your favorite artist. He said he like a long haired, thick red bone.
Yeah, I'm the opposite,
Like-
I like all my chocolate. I need, that right there.
I heard you say that you never met a loyal woman. Do you think that your looks play a part in her feeling like that there may be some disloyalty on your end? So she's like, okay, let me get one up first.
I done had situations where that had happened to where there was like, oh, you look like you a player, So I'm like, I don't know why you say that, but all right,
Because you
they'll be
got
like,
that look.
yeah, they'll hit me with the line, oh, I know you got hella hoes, shit, where they at?
Man,
I'm trying to find them damn self if it was like that,
you
so
are so funny.
yeah, so it'll be like that from time to time to where they'll use my looks against
Hmm.
me and then they'll be out doing whatever they're doing. And,
Hmm.
I'm either working or recording and all this shit. I try to space out,
Hmm.
my time, but, I can make time for her.
Hmm.
Or it was even a situation a few years back where this lady told me, she was like, you ain't never gonna, have you a good woman because you work too much.
Oh wow. And
Yeah,
you don't feel yourself like that, right?
mm-mm. For
Like you
me,
don't
that's like, if you don't work, you don't eat.
right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why would a female that calls herself a woman, why would she want a broke dude?
I
I
don't think
don't I
she
don't ever
would.
understand.
I don't think that she would. I think that's the female that's trying to tear someone down because they have a personal thought process of how life should go. But in your case, I just think when you meet females, maybe they come at you like that because of your looks. They're like, nah, I can't trust the fact that you
And
won't cheat on me.
yeah, like they be having, like those type of thoughts. And I'm like,
And you're
yeah,
like, what are you talking about?
I wouldn't be here shit if I was gonna, be cheating on you and playing you. Like, I
Right.
got things to do, with my
So you're
time than
loyal, huh?
yeah, I'm loyal for the most part. Now,
Oh,
if I
okay.
feel
What
like
you mean most parts? See, there's always a but to something.
ah and so, I can't lie like shit, I be ass gazing.
Oh my goodness. So you're the type
Yeah,
that'll be out with your girl and be looking at someone's ass.
man, if I'm out with the missus, boy, I'm looking at the ceiling everywhere we go. Even if we outside, I'm
Well,
looking at clouds.
I'm the type of female, like I will point it out. I'll be like, hey, look at her butt. Like, oh my God. So would you
Oh
look
man,
in that case?
I mean, I be feeling like that's a setup.
Oh my
Nah,
gosh, no. Like I'm so
yeah,
confident in myself. I can tell my guy to look at like, dang, but she bad as hell. Look at her. Like I'm confident. Like I don't have a problem because I'm already knowing. Like if I can do that, you definitely gonna be like, damn, my babe, like she cool as hell. Like I want to be your homie, your lover, your friend, all of that. Like I don't want to be just, like, oh, we just gotta be strict with everything.
oh yeah. Now comes down to those situations, like if like I said, if the missus pointed out, then I might. But then again, I already know, hey, you got a 5 second rule on you. Look for
Yeah,
them
you
five
can't be
seconds.
I fucking her now. Like that's just out of the question.
Yeah, so
Have
I
you
mean,
ever
outside of
got into
that,
like go ahead, I'm sorry for interrupting.
Now I was just saying, really just 5 seconds, then hey, keep on going about the way.
Yeah. So have you ever gotten into situations where like a female was super like jealous about you and like she just got violent with you in any case?
Oh man, I had this when I was talking to the Spanish woman.
Hmm.
Um, if I wasn't talking to her and only her, she was getting jealous about everything.
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
sometimes it was, it'll be sexy because, after,
Hmm.
we got our work or whatever showered
Hmm.
up, hey, the bedtime action will be hitting a little bit different, from an all day frustration.
Yeah.
Or if I'd be talking to a woman and she'll see, she'll just cuss me out in Spanish and I'm like, I don't even know
Oh
what the
my
hell you saying.
goodness.
Hey,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
need to
what you're
translate.
saying, but bring your here.
Yeah, be like, hey, I want to do some things to you, but don't cuss me out like that though.
So what's the difference when I have to ask you this because I think I asked somebody else this. What's the difference when a Hispanic girl or woman, I should say, gets upset in a African American or white woman?
Well, for that, since the Spanish woman is still, a part of us and everything, it's just its own little branch. It's more of passion versus aggression. It's like
Mm,
me right here. Why you having a look at that? You
mm-hmm,
must be happy with this. Now
right.
versus the average African American woman,
Mm-hmm,
all they know mainly, and this is in my opinion, all they
mm-hmm,
know is aggression. They
mm-hmm,
don't know how to express it
mm-hmm,
to where like, hey, this is what you did right here, and it made me feel some type of way.
mm-hmm.
Versus a Spanish woman is gonna break it down to you. She's not
Oh, she's
gonna
gonna make
already
you
meet
think
you with
like,
aggression.
man, you're. It's like you're looking at somebody else and you got me. Why would you feel the need to do that? Like that.
Yeah, in that situation to where I done been with some aggressive African American women to where it's like, nah, I'm just not gonna tolerate that. Cause
Mm-hmm,
even if, I'm showing you that you're valid, you
mm-hmm,
matter and everything, it's always been the types that'll go seek validation from other dudes that whenever they get
mm-hmm,
jealous, they go seek validation from other dudes.
mm-hmm,
Oh, if I'm not feeling myself today, so I'd rather just be to myself. They
mm-hmm,
go want to talk to another dude and all this kind of shit. So
mm-hmm.
for that,
I think
it'll
that's
be
a
a big,
culture that people has built, especially with the rap industry. Women has built that culture for other women to think like that.
yeah, to where it's like for some of them, they don't appreciate their men
Hmm.
that'll, be here because they're, misguided.
Yeah,
Some of them, they don't know how to treat a man because they didn't have a father. They didn't have a real father figure. Or even if they did, it wasn't their real father. And
right. Yeah,
that plays a big role in it too, to where they don't know how to express themselves or, show love because they were never taught. They were only
right.
taught about, just the glitz and the glamour. But if you're having a problem, it's other ways that you can express things
Hmm.
without aggression.
Right. You
And
mentioned that. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so when it comes into that, um, there's still a lot of growth that needs to happen, culturally.
Right. So you say you mentioned something about a Hispanic woman being more passionate. I feel like you like a Drake though. You say you like dark skinned women, so you like a Drake. You like the little, you like the little ratchet ones at the same time. Because
I don't know,
Drake, he like him some dark skinned, sexy reds. Okay, I'm not
you
saying you
know,
to that extent, but that's his cup of tea.
like yeah, a little bit, yeah, that will be, like my preference, but it's like even if she's, a little bit on the nerdy side,
Yeah.
even if she's, a little bit dark skinned, hey,
Mm-hmm.
she, my book because it's like I look at the outside, but I
Yeah.
also look at how a person conducts themselves, how they talk to their family and friends,
Mm-hmm.
how they, interact with other people and all this. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever they just putting on the front for other people, but she's not like that behind closed doors though.
Hmm. Would you consider yourself shallow when it comes to dating?
Oh man, in all honesty, I'm shallow as hell.
Oh my goodness.
I'm very shallow, like the kitty side of the pool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Hmm.
very shallow when that
What you mean shallow? What you like or dislike?
man, I done tried different things to where it's like I know what I like and what I don't like to where I had to experience why I don't like skinny women. You know, I
Mm-mm.
thought it
Oh,
was just
okay.
a physical thing, but I'm just honestly not attracted to them. I
Gotcha.
like
Okay.
I like a woman that's at least about 180 and up.
Hmm. Not 400, right? No,
Not
not
for
400.
if they making a TV show about you, you doing something wrong.
It looks like that brought you to a bad moment. You was like, oh, hell no.
Man, I had flashbacks.
Yeah, I see that.
Man.
So,
So outside of that, I like, like I said, a different, combination, of things. So
mhm.
now dealing with, certain attitudes, oh no, I don't think that anybody should ever have to deal with that.
Right, that's true.
That's just
Okay.
like vice versa for a woman.
Yeah.
She'll deal with the same complications
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
a dude that comes from the trenches,
Yeah.
the same way as a dude would deal with it, for the female.
That's true. That's true. So wrapping up today's podcast, your success, right? What has it taught you about your own worth, and how have you executed your worth in your everyday life?
Oh man, it showed me that, money isn't, everything, even though it is to some people.
Yeah.
It shows me that, I still have a lot of growing to do in certain areas, and that sometimes, I might make a song and I just listen to it just on repeat. And it's, really just telling me, like, hey, you still got this. So I still find inspiration from just previous work when I go back and listen to it.
Hmm.
And I feel like some of it, I'm speaking to myself
Right.
at a different time frame.
Like the
At a
younger
like,
version or older version?
yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah. So it's like my older self is speaking to my present self,
Gotcha.
and that's how it'll go. And it'd be like, hey, keep on going. You're not there yet,
Right, right.
And so I'd find, inspiration in that, and that
Hmm.
I never get lost in it to where it's like,
Wow.
I still treat people like they're people. I still
Right.
give the common, respect.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm still very well mannered, and
Yeah.
that right there. And so whenever I think about it, you know, I'm
Hmm.
just, proud that I could, leave my footprint in life,
Right.
in this kind of a way, just
Hmm.
like you're leaving yours.
Right.
We're both leaving it, but in two different ways.
Right. Well, I want to say thank you for being on the show today. We really enjoyed your interview, your podcast on here
Damn,
with us today.
thanks for
And
having me.
we definitely hope to see you next week.
Yes, ma'am. And we have us and just another good time.
Yeah. Bye.
All right.